Episode 5. In Vienna, we meet Sebastian and enjoy a delicious breakfast. Vienna itself is a small walkable city, but as this was our first day, we played it safe and took about just every form of transportation to get to our museum appointment. This included a tram ride, where other helpful tourists, seeing us sitting in a parked team car going nowhere, told us we'd actually reached the end of the line. We caught a taxi driven by a grumpy Austrian who began driving off aggressively before Mum was able to pull her door shut. The ride luckily lasted less than 4 minutes, but at least we got to our meeting on time. We walked towards this magnificent museum, built in the late 1870s and modelled on London's V&A. Despite sounding like an evil character in a James Bond movie, Dr. Sebastian Hackenschmidt is a delightful 30-something design enthusiast who runs the furniture department. Sporting stubble and dressed casually in jeans, he bounded over to meet us and announced he had devoted an entire day to our visit. We were then treated to a behind-the-scenes tour and commentary. We walked on veined marble flooring everywhere and around pillars, looking up at high ceilings that made your neck crick if you tipped your head back too far to take in the wedding cake plaster decorations that sat at least 50 feet above you. The installations were breathtaking, including antique carpets that suspended off the ground, and a huge room of chairs lined down the center in chronologically created sequence, with seats and backs alternating like a game of musical chairs waiting to begin. Our stay was enhanced considerably by the fabulous bed and breakfast we found online, and in case you ever want to stay there too, I'm happy to shamelessly promote it. Pension Lerner, run by Veronica, the energetic owner. Aside from the cozy, spotless room complete with soft cotton bedding and a nightly wrapped chocolate waiting for you on your pillow every night, the breakfasts were outstanding. Veronica is a self-confessed foodie, and how she has the time to run the guest house almost single-handedly, have a family life, and cook everything was beyond our imagination. The buffet table had 2 large jars of her delicious homemade jams, organic yogurt with fresh fruit, platters of cheese, and of course Viennese cold meats, jugs of fresh fruit juice, but the pièce de résistance, and by this point I'd given up worrying about my expanding waistline, were her home-baked cakes. Apple and blackberry crumble, gluten-free, that just melted literally in your mouth, and cherry cakes drizzled with confectioner's sugar that was so fluffy the knife ran through it at a touch as you helplessly took several slices. When you top this all off with a pot of famous Viennese coffee and warm milk, you really didn't need to eat again for a very long time. The local water lies in the secret of Vienna's delicious coffee. The city is fed from the Alps by gravity-driven pipelines, and even the tap water is delicious, with no hint of chlorine. How sustainable this could be was beyond me, and I did wonder if we were even showering in this delightful stuff. Viennese historic architecture is everywhere you look, and the Pensions building was no exception. The 19th century architect must have brought in a security expert at the time to design the heaviest doors I've ever encountered. Getting into the building was the equivalent of a warm-up at the gym. You literally had to put your shoulder against a wooden door laced with the heaviest iron imaginable, and no spring to help you prop it open. Like being on a vintage movie set, there was a classic elevator with concertina metal doors that took you so slowly to the upper floors that you wondered if the mechanism was about to expire at any moment. All in all, a great few days that make one hanker for living back in Europe.